Hello and welcome to another episode of the Investor Financing Podcast. And today we're going to talk all about property management. We're going to talk about building teams, recruiting quality employees. We're going to talk about setting up your property management business for success, vendor services, how vendors play a role in this, and so much more. It's going to be a good episode because we hardly ever talk about. Actually, I don't think I've ever talked about this on the show, which is like the biggest piece for property owners, right? It's the management piece, and whether you're a manager yourself out there listening or you're a property owner, this is going to be a great episode. In addition, a service provider that is in the property management industry. So please welcome Ernest from the PowerHour.com. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Beau. Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to our connecting. All questions are great questions. I've been in the space and sector for the last 35 years. So you ask and I'll answer. Let's roll.
Cool. So like in today's world, we're seeing a big change with corporate housing, right? I know you're in that space. So people are, there's a lot of like individual investors buying vacation rentals and putting them on Airbnb and VRBO, but the corporate housing space is a lot of us in the industry that are investing in them call them midterms because they're like usually 30-day stays and longer. And that's an interesting field. I've thought about purchasing some properties myself to furnish and do, traveling nurses, corporate world. So you work in that space, but really, where did you get your start 35 years ago in the property management world, and how did you evolve with PowerHour to where it is today? Because you have like hundreds of thousands of people in your LinkedIn groups. I mean, it's like amazing. You have 3 different LinkedIn groups. One group for multifamily apartment professionals, one for property management jobs, another one for just general property management professionals with over like 66,000 people in that group. Right. So you've been doing this for a long time. So where'd you get the start?
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I started in San Diego almost 35 years ago, working with multifamily apartment companies where I first began. And it very quickly became apparently to me that the more that I was trying to share, whether it was my service or products, whatever I was doing, that there really wasn't a front door entry. That frankly, I learned very quickly that the more that I came to them with new ideas, or might I work with your leasing teams, or might I help you with a lease up, that they were very receptive to that. I sort of called that coming through the back door. They brought me in as family. And so the more training and coaching and guidance I did, the more that they loved me. And then in the end, our relationship built from there. And that really became sort of the metamorphosis for the launch of PowerHour 27 years ago. So today we work with leading property management companies all over the world. We still work in the multifamily space, but we have those that manage residential, single family homes, HOA, commercial, the whole spectrum of property management. And we deeply and dearly understand what it means to be a vendor and supplier as well, to provide products and services, and the importance of your reputation and delivering impeccably on what you say you're going to do. Because in the end, this sector is filled with what I call lifers in the world of property management. A lifer is a prison term, but in our world, it's a great compliment, because if you look at those in the sector of property management and you look at the LinkedIn profile, you'll notice that they've been here 10 years and 20 years and 30 years. So frankly, the launch of PowerHour to work in this industry, to bring the expertise to these organizations has really been a joy. But those that are in the space and sector simply know that tenure matters. It matters that you're a person of your word, that you'll deliver, that your reputation is everything. And when that's in place, good and great things happen. And when it's not, they don't, and everybody knows it. So that's an important component from that perspective. But the work that we do is with companies around the world. In fact, today, PowerHour is based in Park City, Utah, right at the base of 3 ski resorts where the Olympics in 2002 were held. But today I'm in Madrid, Spain, working with a client here that has about 900 condos, apartments, townhomes that they own, and entire buildings that they both own and also manage on behalf of their owners throughout Spain. And we've been working with their team related to their business development, their client satisfaction, and some of their business operations. And we'll be here for several weeks at a time. So having an international perspective of clients, there's also these reoccurring themes, that things that we see that might be happening in San Diego might be valuable to a client in Toronto or a client in Dublin, Ireland, which is where we're going to be heading next. So reoccurring themes related to property management. So just as a big picture overview.
That's great. Well, you have a wealth of experience. So like this group in Spain, for example, are you coming in there and how do you start like analyzing what do you obviously you're going to benchmark expenses, you do all that and more. So like kind of walk me through like when you have a new kind of client and you're going there to kind of help them out. What are you looking for? What are you looking at to increase efficiencies and so forth and the hiring process?
Sure. Well, it's really all of those things. If we think about sort of a chain link all the way around, if all the links are connected and they're healthy and positive all the way around the circle, then the chain works and the wheel turns and everything works nicely. Break a chain and we have failure, and failure means loss of biz and our reputation as well. So whenever we're working with a client, we sort of break it down into people, profits, and performance, right? Sort of the 3 Ps. And when we think about sort of people really relates to, your team, your tenure, who you're hiring, who you're onboarding, and so forth, and all of that cycle, right? And then the next piece is sort of profits, and profits relates to, the organizational financial piece and what the ratios look like and what you're trying to accomplish and where you were last year and the prior year and where you want to be in the next 3 and 5 years. And we even include a conversation of what the exit strategy looks like. Part of our work is not just coaching and working with individuals, teams, and leaders, but we also help our clients plan going forward. We help them on their recruiting side, bring in great people. We help them with their digital side. We help them with their performance. And then ultimately the exit strategy on the other side, we help our clients sell their enterprise or acquire competitors. So the second piece, the first is people, really vital. Second piece is their profitability, P for profits. And then the third is performance. Now that we understand your people, your team, your operations, now the second part, we understand financially where you are and where you want to be. Third part is performance. Let's catapult. We don't have companies or organizations that hire us for incremental change. We're not here to do the small stuff. We're here to do the big stuff. In other words, the hotter the kitchen, the more that we want to be in it, right? and we want to help them catapult. So either they have big opportunities like we are right here. There's a mass amount of money coming in from Latin America in light of a lot of the challenges in for example, Venezuela and Colombia. So there's a real uptick of wealth coming here, and they need what? Homes, accommodations, and investments. So our client is perfectly positioned for that to help these wealthy families, companies, and individuals. So the performance side is we want to catapult, or in other cases, it's things aren't going well. We have a derailing executive, our company's not doing well, things have been flat to declining, and we help companies on that side. So we like to think about that as more or less. Companies that want more to catapult or less because it's not going well, we need to reduce the things that are holding them back and really catapult them forward. Does that make sense, Beau?
Oh yeah, no, that's really clear. And you also help, obviously we talked about the recruiting part, but you also help vendors and suppliers in the industry. So you really kind of, you're the link in this, your business model is being the link and putting this all together and doing sales training and so forth. But how do you help suppliers and vendors connect, or what kind of role do you play in that portion?
You're listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. We'll be right back after this break.
Hi, this is Beau, host of the Investor Financing Podcast. I appreciate you checking out our channel. On this podcast, we talk about real estate, investing, financing, business lending, and acquiring and expanding your business. I'm sure you will find some videos here that will help you build your business empire. There's a lot to see. Take your time and make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks again.
Sure. Understanding deeply what it means to be a sales vendor and supplier. In my earliest days, I worked for this little bitty company called Motorola, early days of car phones, amazing corporate training, also certified by Xerox, also worked for Prime Media, which is a $1 billion media group, which was my entry into the property management side. So my corporate background is, frankly, very humbly, blue chip. I got solid, unbelievable corporate training, but I still know what it means to be an entrepreneur when I went out and launched my company 27 years ago and only had myself in a mirror to look at. And that was it, and a hope and a dream that I could really craft something that would make sense, right? So I do have a very strong sales and marketing background, and I love that and very proud of that piece. And so therefore, we help sales teams and sales organizations rock. We look at their sales hiring, their sales training, their onboarding, their sales materials, their competitive advantages, their side-by-side comparisons, their USPs, their what is considered their unique sales or selling proposal or proposition, how they're positioned in the marketplace. All of those things sync up with what we love to do, and we compete fiercely. In fact, so fiercely that we never ever work with competing property management companies or vendors and suppliers, because there's no way from an integrity perspective that we can work with one company at 10 in the morning and another at 2, right? From an integrity perspective. So we have those companies that literally sit on a waiting list, in some cases 5 or 10 years or more, because we never, ever cross that line. It's one company, and we're here to win. And we're here to not only win, but to take every bit of business from every competitor in the marketplace. And that is our strategy from that perspective. So we never work with 2 companies that compete against each other.
That's great. And so like what changes are you seeing in the property management space over the last few years? I mean, obviously there's probably like a lot of acquisitions, and with technology, where do you see the property management business going, and what kind of changes do you see?
Sure. So I'm going to make some broad strokes, some macro strokes, depending on where those who are listening to and watching our connection here today. A couple of big pictures. First off, housing is pushed up, unbelievable. So therefore, the cost of housing has made it more difficult for renters on that multifamily side to swing out. Generally, we lose 10% every month that don't renew their leases and swing into purchasing their first home. That is stopped because they can no longer make the down payment or make the ratios on the earnings side, and that's frozen that. So instead of those 10% swinging out and the new coming in, it's kind of halted the process. And so therefore, by definition, rents are going up. Occupancy is at a record high, and that simply means that rents keep driving further and further up, which means occupancy is higher, which means the properties and the property owners are seeing wealth creation like we've never seen in the last 2 years. And we expect that trend to continue over the next 1 or 2. Working remote, our property management teams in all categories have never done that before. It's been really a stretch and strain. It used to be on the recruiting side of PowerHour, you had those who worked in the property management sector or the vendor sector who just managed a team in a market. And that was one skill set. If you had the next skill set and you had managed teams in more diverse marketplaces, that was worth more. In some cases, $20,000 to $50,000 more. All of a sudden, everybody is managing geographically dispersed teams, which is not easy. So that's been a real shift during this pandemic, that we've done a lot of coaching and guidance with our clients to really be tone appropriate, to really raise their EQ, their sensitivity for those on their team. It's really been vital. The other piece is, frankly, the pandemic. I mean, we've all been stretched. Our resilience has been tapped. Our care has been raised, but we're stretched and strained. When you're working remote, you've never worked remote. You got a spouse that's working remote. You got kids underfoot. You know what I'm talking about? Kids underfoot that are working. They're getting their education. So much has been so difficult from that perspective. Obviously, we're getting to the other side, but we're all a little weary, and our clients and their teams. It's been challenging to make hires in the current state of what has happened. That's been another piece. It's really become more of an employee-driven marketplace with wages going up as well. Supply chain challenges, getting 2x4, something that simple, or getting a washer and dryer and you're waiting 6 weeks. That was unheard of in prior days and years. So there's a lot of those challenges. Many will work through, but that's kind of the snapshot of where we are at this point. Does that sync up with what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm based in Las Vegas, and yeah, we're building everywhere, and now what we're seeing a lot of is these build to rent, right? We're seeing single family custom homes, or not custom, little master plan communities of single family homes now that institutional money is starting to build these type of assets, like almost like, because people it's becoming more of a renter's world right now, and like they know they're going to be working out of the house, and they don't want an apartment because they want a little bit more space. So these builders are building like 100 units or townhouses, and now these build to rent. That's it's a whole new asset classes in itself. I'm on the lending side, and now I just read that like Fannie Mae came out with a product for these type of assets to almost like underwrite like a multifamily asset, which is cool. So there's right. new asset classes. So I think that's definitely a trend. A lot of my clients are multifamily syndicators that own, a couple thousand units So it's interesting. And then I have some builders doing the build to rent. So on that space, it's definitely interesting. I mean, it's just it's an interesting industry, and it's vital. As a property owner myself, I know the property management piece is the biggest piece, right? Like if you have good management, it makes all the difference. And most of the clients you're dealing with own large property management companies, it sounds like. And and then you probably work, some are owners too, owner operators, but a lot of them are just third party property management companies. The larger, own 1,000 or manage 1,000 to 20,000 unit type of groups.
Right. So let me. I'm going to circle back for just a second on that build to rent piece. That's an asset class that we have never seen before. It does remind me a little bit of what happened 2008, 2012 in the downturn. And I remember the housing prices in Phoenix and Las Vegas, where a $500,000 or $600,000 home was now $200,000. It was the first time that Wall Street and institutional investors said, "Wait a minute, let's go buy 1,000, let's go buy 5,000, 10,000, let's go sit on them, and then let's go manage them." And that was their first taste for what was possible, and then the upside in return, right? And this is what I'm calling sort of the second wave of that, sort of the literally build to rent. And we have those that are clients that are 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 that are completely managing it from an institutional perspective. But we'd be remiss if we don't point out that one of the most important cornerstones of that is what? To deliver on the service, to be responsive to the emails, responsive to the calls, any service requests, from the clogged toilet to water to mold, whatever that might be. All of that is vital. And I never want to skip over that the importance of our maintenance teams and the deliverables on that side is, just absolutely key. And then, to your point related to some that are doing unfurnished, we live in that category. We also deeply understand the furnished side of the house. And then some of our clients are doing a blend of both, dedicating entire buildings just for the furnished or entire floors just for the furnished. And they're picking up an upside and a premium as much as 20 to 30% or more in the rent side. And that's a very interesting piece. And so back to your question, we have everything from, very large publicly held companies, very large with their footprint, to entrepreneurs and smaller partnerships and building owners. So we have a wide array of those who we serve, and we love talking to all of them because there's reoccurring themes at one side, and the other side is we know how to tailor our coaching and guidance for those that own 100 units or manage 50 or 100 or 200 doors versus those that are managing 25,000. There's reoccurring themes, and then we also tailor our coaching to their particular needs.
Very good. Well, this has been very insightful. Where's the best place where people can find out more about you? Should they go to PowerHour.com? Is that the best place, or LinkedIn? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've got a huge following on LinkedIn. You can probably connect them there. But PowerHour has got a lot of items on it. I was looking at it, and I'm going to dive into it some more because my other business works in the property management space. So I know you're going to be a really good connection for me to pick your brain and learn more. So, what do you like best about what you've created? This kind of, it's an interesting business you have. I don't think there's any other businesses out there that do all what you do. How did this end up being? Did it just evolve and it just happened? I mean, you probably set out to do one thing and you realized there was such a shortage in all these different categories.
It's part of my coaching, which starts with the two words, I wish. Okay. What is it you're most wishing for? And that's part of the coaching work that we do, that we want to know what you're wishing for, what you're dreaming for, and let's go play big. My dream 27 years ago, I wanted to be the best father and the best parent I could possibly be with my kids. I didn't want to live on a corporate jet. I didn't want to leave on a Sunday night and come back on a Friday evening. And that's how most trainers, coaches, consultants, and speakers lived in those days. And if you weren't in a client's office, that was not a billable event. I had a complete reverse paradigm saying, no, I can coach and guide by phone, by conference call, by email. I was doing remote before people spelled remote. Okay. And let me just tell you, the technology was not there. For example, I would come up on a conference call line. There was no such thing as mute or record. So if somebody had a barking dog, you heard the barking dog. If somebody put their phone on hold, you heard their on hold music and had to wait for them to come back. Okay. I mean, I've seen it all, from my dial-up modems and burned out motherboards and needing backup to my modems, to the early days of Wi-Fi. There was a lot of battle scars from all of those days in the earliest days of being remote. Roll that back. So that was my dream. The other part of my dream was to raise our family in a ski resort, of which we did. We moved from Newport Beach when people said, "You're leaving here, Newport Beach, California, land of milk and honey, to Park City. Where is that?" I said, "Not only am I going, I'm never coming back." Mm-hmm. I have a dream. And that was our dream, to live in a beautiful ski resort, great educational path for our kids. And it worked. Every single dream of my life has come true. So I've been not only blessed, but in order to coach and guide those who have a dream and want to reach their dream, I better drink my own Kool-Aid. I better do it first. And therefore I can show you and say, not let me tell you how to do it, let me show you how to do it. So you might say, "Hey, Ernest, I need this resource." And I'm going to say, "Great, Beau, it's in your inbox." "Hey, can you show me this on LinkedIn?" "Great, come on over. I just dropped the URL in for you." So that's my belief, is that I don't say what to do or coach what to do. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to drop the templates in your inbox, or I'm going to show you what we're doing on that side. The part related to PowerHour you'd referenced, yes, PowerHour is my website, powerhour.com. But by coming into, one of the things that I began doing last year, we had more than 100,000 views of the post that we've made on LinkedIn. So we crafted something called Power Minute. So if you come in to find me on LinkedIn, Ernest Oriente, you will see right on my main screen, Power Minute by PowerHour. Actually started with 100 topics and said, these are the reoccurring themes about being leader, sales, marketing, teams, and so forth. Here's 100 topics. We'll start with those. It grew to 200. Today it's 400 topics. 400 topics that we cover about leadership, sales, marketing, your digital footprint, competing fiercely, whatever that might be. And there's 60 seconds on that particular one. So today in Madrid, Spain, I captured a video called Leaders on Video. And it simply means in 60 seconds, it says, remember, as a leader, everything you say and do, verbal and visual, is being recorded. And every step of the way, it's being remembered. So if you come into your office and you throw your phone down and you yell at your team, they're going to remember that today, tomorrow, and forever. You're on video because you're a leader. Okay. So recognize, raise your EQ, and have that level of awareness. That's a sample of what a Power Minute is. 400 topics. Today was video number 120. So it's about a 3-year project. And every week I share 2 or 3 new videos, and I record them wherever I'm traveling around the world. So I have everything from the ski lifts in Deer Valley to Bermuda to Hawaii to December. I was in Pakistan, as in Karachi, Italy, Ireland. There's a whole host of fun videos that I've captured kind of along the way that we share in our Power Minute.
Wow, that's amazing. You have a great story, because like you really just early on in your career, you were obviously a driven person, and you worked with Xerox and some of the companies you worked on early on. I know, like, a lot of people, Xerox used to have like a world-class sales training, right? It seems like you really built some skills early on, and then you just realized, hey, I don't want to be in the corporate world, and took those skills. But how did you get into the entrepreneur space? Was it really just making that decision? Was your family entrepreneurial, or you just knew you were good at sales and connecting people and saw the need in the market and just went for it?
Sure. Probably 3 things. I'm proud to say that there was nothing easy about my young days in life. Very challenging. Mother and father divorced. Mother twice tried to commit suicide. Since I was 15, I funded my entire life. Every check, every contribution I made to help pay room and board, to help my mother and our 3 younger brothers. Paid for my first car, insurance, college. Every single thing that I've needed since I was 15 years old came from my own work, and I was okay with that. I'm proud to say, very humbly, but none of that was easy. I also realized that I wanted to continue to learn and grow, so I read everything that I possibly could to read and learn. I've sort of called that my rolling university. I always wanted to be learning and growing, and I still feel that passionate belief to this day. The launching of my company, to be very frank, was not easy. There wasn't a coach on the planet making 20 grand a year, and I had visions for how to craft something that would generate millions and millions of dollars a year. How was I going to do that? How was I going to craft something? So I had no blueprint. There was really nothing to do. So there were many a night that I would wake up, look at the ceiling and pause and say, what in the world am I doing in my corporate days? I had a very comfortable and a very wonderful path and wonderful, generous compensation. What am I doing? And I'd be waking up in a cold sweat, looking at the ceiling saying, what the heck am I doing? Will this ever fly? But I would wake up every morning with an agreed action step. One of my coaching principles is not only I wish, but your perfect day. What goes in your perfect day? If I had a little video camera ball right over your shoulder, how do you start your day? What do you do next? What do you do next? What do you do next? And where is that in writing? And we work on our perfect day. And in that perfect day, we focus on our genius work. Again, one of my coaching principles, your genius work. What is the highest and best use of your time? You and I today, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is a 10. Only you can be here. Only I can be here. That's a 10. Okay. The actual coordination to get here connected didn't have to be done by either of us. And that means that's a 1. And so we have our clients track for 5 days what their activities are and rate and rank them. Okay. Then we build their perfect day and what that schedule looks like. And then we go to work and we do it and we do it. I built that for myself when I crafted PowerHour unknowingly without even having a blueprint. Nobody was guiding me or giving me that expertise. But I know today, 50,000 hours working with leaders and teams all over the world, there is a formula to catapult success. Do your genius work, remove or delegate the stuff that's not key and vital, and then really do more and more and more of the work you love and the work that will drive your top line profitability and your bottom line, your top line revenue, your bottom line profitability, and give you the freedom and flexibility to live the life you want, which is why I'm able to move around the world for months at a time and be able to live internationally for 4 months at a time. And then when I'm back in Park City, to be doing what I most love, which is to ski. I love to ski every morning. I love to entertain our clients when they come to visit. And that was the other part of my dream of why I'm in Park City. So
that's great. Yeah, I think everybody out there needs a coach, right? And you actually, what you just said just resonated with me. I like, sounds like you're a terrific coach and mentor, and appreciate your time. This has been fantastic. I love your energy, and everybody go to powerhour.com, or you can go to LinkedIn and what is it? The Power Minute.
Power Minute, and just come to Ernest Oriente. Just come right down my main screen. Power Minute by PowerHour. They're all there, including what we just talked about related to genius work. There's a whole series of 60 seconds about many of the principles that are there. Click, listen to them, and you can apply it immediately. So it's all there. But what a pleasure.
Awesome. This was so great. And I love talking and bringing in some insight from somebody that we normally don't talk to in this real estate investing channel, but this is a big piece, and I got a lot of value out of it too. So it's I love interviewing people because it's like, whoa, I just learned amazing things, and just so thank you so much for your time. It was great.
Pleasure. Thank you, Beau. Appreciate it.